It's not a surprise that there have been a lot of different FNaF fan games released on Gamejolt. Yet with one good FNaF fan game releasing every month, we're bound to forget some of the good ones.
What am I supposed to do?
Which is why today I bring you 3 FNaF fan games you've probably forgot even existed. From a never before seen art style to plunging toilets and shooting animatronics. Yeah, you're gonna wanna watch to the end because they get crazy later on.
Super Five Nights at Freddy's.
Super FNaF is one of the few FNaF fan games that actually are there to tell you a story. Other than almost every FNaF fan game, it has you playing as the animatronic in a platformer type way. Now you could argue that there is like no scare factor in this game, which is true, but the story of the 5 missing children makes up for it. However, if you don't really care about the story, then there is still the gameplay, including some minigames. The game starts off with a cutscene which is slowly introducing us to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, which is where night 1 starts. You can play as every classic animatronic in here, so Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, you get the picture. The gameplay loop in this game can be seen as a bit repetitive, as it has you going from point A to point B most of the time. But like I said, the story is where the game truly shines. Because like I said, it is not the classic watch your cameras, close the door type of game. Anyway, I'll get to the gameplay later on again, because you're probably wondering what the story is even about. So, your main task of night 1 is just finding out whether the night guard is purple guy or not. It then abruptly starts playing a cutscene of what we know is the day all of the children got tricked by a good old furry pal. I mean, my guy literally wears an animal costume. Anyway, this essentially ends off night 1 and night 2 begins. In night 2 you actually play as Chica, where you have to get proof that the night guard is actually purple guy this time. But how is the question? It's not like there's some sort of camera laying around. What? There is. Ah. Okay. The cutscene of night 2 shows us the dead kids inside the suits, which is really brutal to show. See, this is what the fandom needed. No more bright and colorful lighting, but death. We had this debate. Anyways, after that cutscene ends, you have to bring said photo to the puppet who needs to verify it.
Yeah.
Like I said, this game is more walking simulator, but it gets better, I swear. Because Super FNaF doesn't shy away from brutal scenes such as Charlie's death or this. Night 3. Night 3 is where the gameplay truly gets better, as you have 4 minigames you need to complete, being a platformer, which I am really good at. Shit! God damn it. No! Oh my god, I'm gonna delete this game. Then Friday Night Funkin' with Toy Bonnie. Ooh, a skip button. Then a Chica's Cupcake minigame, which I would be lying if I said that this was good. Last but not least, we have what I call Mangle's Freefall. If you haven't noticed by now, we're actually throwing a party for Golden Freddy since he didn't want to help us kill the night guard. But now he wants to, so that's great. And with our 4th and final night, believe it or not, things don't go as planned since the night guard somehow isn't where he's supposed to be. He's not in his office. See, this is where Super FNaF shines. Not just the story, but if you played the game by going from point A to point B, you most likely won't be satisfied with what you get. So the game kind of forces you to actually explore the pizzeria to get the true ending. I mean, you could just call it a day with getting the abandoned ending, but come on, who wants that? Now, I know what you might be thinking. How do you get this true ending I'm talking about? Well, for that we have to go way back to night 1. There's one room where you find a familiar face. Shadow Bonnie's in there, and his task has you finding his death report in a box full of letters. Giving his death report to him is the only thing you need to do though, since your second mission is to find and play hide and seek with Shadow Freddy 3 times in any of the following nights. Doing that will result in him giving you a code which you'll need to put in a suspicious looking pizza. And done. All you need to do now is just play the game as normal, and the story will continue. And since I don't want this video to be only about Super FNaF and I want you to play it for yourself, I have to cut things short here. But if you don't want to play the game, all you need to know is that after this you're given a choice whether the puppet forgives William or not. Either one of those will lead to their respective ending. And that's pretty much it when it comes to the story. Like I said, what this game lacks in gameplay, it makes up for the story it is trying to tell. And I think it really did a good job with it. But I get it, the gameplay loop of this game is kinda boring sometimes since all you do is walk and walk and walk. Also, I don't really think this game is that replayable, since when you get all 3 endings, there isn't really anything to do. Sure, there is this one Foxy Runner minigame, but that's pretty much it. When it comes to the visuals, however, I'm really impressed with how a good job the developer did, nailing the SNES style perfectly. Every part of the pizzeria and cutscenes of all the pizzerias is done perfectly here. Even the animatronics themselves look very nice. Including that, I love the pixelated look of the animatronics. It is things like this that really differentiate this game from other FNaF fan games. When it comes to the movement and feel of this game, I am a big fan of how simple it is. It really feels like you're moving with a classic SNES controller. The soundtrack too is one of a kind, with remixes of a lot of different cool FNaF songs, giving it that extra old console type feel. Anyway, that wraps up Super FNaF. I had a lot of fun revisiting this pretty old game, and if you want to give Super FNaF a shot, then I'll put the download link in the description. If not, then I still hope I brought a bit of nostalgia by talking about this game. Let me introduce this second game on our list. Baby's Nightmare Circus. A game that took this sister location animatronics and bumped their scare factor to like 100 out of 10. Baby's Nightmare Circus is split into 2 parts, being Baby's Nightmare Circus and Classic Mode. Baby's Nightmare Circus can also be split into main nights and small fun minigames. And unlike Super FNaF, it puts gameplay over story. The game starts with a small cutscene introducing us to the person we play as well as the evil behind Baby's Nightmare Circus. During the main nights, you're always outside and you can go to 4 different tents, all house their own animatronic. Baby's first, and you have to flash her every once in a while. Then there are the Biddy Babs, who you also need to flash. Then there is Bellora, who you have to just watch spin around. Last but not least, we have the rewind station, which is pretty self-explanatory, but if you still don't get it, all you need to do is just rewind. Now, this sounds simple enough, right? Have a set path you follow and that's it. Well, the game sounds a lot more simple than it actually is, because of how stressful these nights can get. Stress is a major factor within this game, and it lets you lose focus so easily. As in further nights, if you do one mistake or forget one animatronic, it can instantly ruin your run. One fun thing to mix around the animatronics is at the last 2 nights. Baby gets replaced with Funtime Freddy and Bellora with Funtime Foxy, but their mechanics stay the same. So I found this to be a very fun gimmick, however, still a bit boring since, like I said, the mechanics stay the same. So, the gameplay loop of these nights I think is actually pretty good. And if you master your mechanics, then it isn't all that bad. When it comes to the mini-games, however, I found the first 3 to be a bit boring. Why? They take place in a new area, but all 3 are essentially the same thing, with the bare minimum of change. Sure, it sounds fun on paper, but it can get a bit annoying when playing all 3 back to back. Then the 4th minigame is different to the first 3, but again, I didn't think it was all that great either. It takes place in the main area, but instead of fighting off all the animatronics, as the title can tell, you only have to fight off Ennard by finding out which tent he's hiding in. Doing this from 12 to 6 AM is just outright boring, to be completely honest. So not really scary nor hard to complete. For our last minigame, which is actually the last of the whole first part, you'll need to fight off Baby Geist. Now take everything I said with gameplay over story and turn it upside down, as this minigame is quite simple. All it is to do is run from tent to tent till you see Baby Geist, then just shock her. This is a few times and boom, minigame over. That is all for the gameplay of the first part. The gameplay loop, although being a bit repetitive at times, is actually very fun, and once you get it right, it is so nice to pull off. Yeah, some mini games I didn't like, since it was just kind of a repeat of the one before. Moving on to the graphics, and oh my god, a lot of people kept saying it, and now I know why. Mixless really nailed the animatronic design, being a 1-to-1 with Scott's Nightmare animatronics. Each and every one of them is truly nightmare fuel. Other than that, I really love the environment of this game and how it's giving off this creepy, almost uncanny vibe. I mean, a circus at night, seriously. Speaking about scary, we have the jump scares. Not only is the sound creepy as shit, they're so on point with what Scott would do. No wonder this was the FNaF fan game a few years back. But we're not done with Baby's Nightmare Circus yet. This is Classic Mode. Classic Mode can be seen as a direct sequel to the first part, and I briefly want to talk about it. Also, if you're still watching, why not type coconut in the comments to confuse the other viewers who skipped this part? Because by now I can actually be seen as the coconut man. Anyway, Classic Mode. Classic Mode directly takes place after Baby's Nightmare Circus Part 1, as we're introduced to the good old Balloon Man.
Hello, I am Balloon Man. I come from down the lane to give you a balloon to make you happy.
Man, I love this song. As the game suggests, we are back to the classic night mode type game, with cameras, doors and animatronics. But now the animatronics are even more withered. What you need to do is just shut the doors when the animatronics are near them, pretty self-explanatory. However, Ballora is a bit different, as she comes from the vent behind you, but she never really attacked me. Matter of fact, I didn't even die once. Night 2 changes things completely, as now you go visit and flash the animatronics just like you did before. Pretty easy, till you flash Balloon Man. What the heck is this game? So now you're in a vent, what the hell is happening and why is there Scott on your right? Beating that leads you on to Night 3, which I'd say is the most boring out of all of them. As for almost 5 minutes, all you need to do is switch around these boxes so the Biddy Babs can see you. For Night 4, we're suddenly in FNaF 6 and playing Pong? Oh, never mind, we're dodging mini arenas and Lolbit? Bro, can you stop clapping, man? Okay, for the last challenge of this weird ass game, we need to drain Nightmare Balloon Man's power by checking whether or not he's in the hallway and then draining his power. And that's Classic Mode of Baby's Nightmare Circus, or at least the main nights. I have to say it since nobody else really does it. I love this so much. Classic Mode was so much fun to play since it changes so many times and is so unpredictable. I've never seen a gameplay loop as fun as this. Which makes me wonder, why has nobody really talked about Classic Mode? You even get these little prizes after beating these challenges, which makes it extra rewarding to play. It is such a shame that there aren't a lot of people who actually talk about this game. After all, this was the Five Nights at Freddy's fan game at the time. These visuals again are a 10 out of 10, taking the already creepy animatronics and just fucking them up more. Anyway, that wraps up Baby's Nightmare Circus, and just like Super FNaF, it was really nostalgic looking back at this. If you want to give this game a shot, then feel free to do so, as the download link is again in the description. If not, then I still hope I brought back just a tiny bit of nostalgia by talking about this game. But we're not done yet, ladies and gents. There's one more game on our list. Can I get a drum roll, please? This is Boba's wait. Who put this here? Come on, please. Is there any other game I can talk about? Nope. We're sticking with Boba's Diner. Boba's Diner is, well, how do I put this nicely? A good old classic. Similar to Baby's Nightmare Circus, you can click to move your character, so I guess you can see this as some kind of free roam. Every night you have a task you need to complete, which could be things like an office with cameras where you need to print things, plunging toilets, okay, moving on. You can talk to Mr. Giggles. Who comes up with these names? And how can I forget shooting an animatronic in the face? In the office of Boba's Diner, you have tasks similar to FNaF 6, being leading animatronics away from your office with audio alerts and printing documents. So without a doubt, FNaF 6 clearly copied off of Boba's Diner, and FNaF World 2, I saw that. Whoever thinks otherwise should follow my Twitter at IceeG. Do it please. Moving on to the plunging minigame, if you want to call it that. You essentially need to get an animatronic Boba plushie out of the toilet. How nice. Oh, and you need to avoid getting jump scared if the plunging makes too much noise. Little fun fact, you don't even need to turn around, you can just keep on plunging, you won't get jump scared. Then Mr. Giggles minigame. And this one isn't all that bad, and it kind of reminds me of the interviews from FNaF 6. Maybe just me. All you do here is ask Mr. Giggles questions and wait for him to respond. And be careful, you can't ask questions when he's too close to you. Otherwise, this happens. Then for our next minigame, you need to clean one spot in an entire room and flash this dog animatronic if you hear a sound clue. And last but not least, we need to flash some weird animatronic in the basement. Kinda reminds me of the Joy of Creation classic. Okay, I'll admit it. The gameplay loop of this game is kinda boring and pretty plain, with the only difficult part being the office section, when the animatronics don't listen to any of the audio cues. The story isn't that 10 out of 10 either. I see it just as a filler to progress through the nights. Essentially, you're just the night guard or handyman for Bubba's Diner. Yet there is one thing that makes this game fantastic and worth it being put on this list. Wanna know what it is? Come close, I'll tell you. It's shooting the animatronics full on shotgun style in their face. There's nothing as good as shooting some animatronics. We need more FNaF fan games to do this. Okay, jokes aside, the game is okay at best. Personally, I just think it's pretty boring and quite slow. Also, there are so many bugs which stop you from playing the game completely. One thing I liked, however, is that it definitely is a short and sweet game and you should definitely give it a shot. Download link again is in the description down below. And that wraps off 3 FNaF fan games you probably forgot even existed. Even though I was a bit mean with Bubba's Diner, I still had a blast playing through all these 3 games I talked about. And I'd love for you to give them all a shot if you have a PC to play it with, because I know a lot of you don't. What a lot of you also didn't do is subscribing to my YouTube channel, so why not do it? I mean, you watched to the end, so there's no harm in doing it, right? And since you're here already, why not check out some other videos I made? Other than that, I've been IceeG and wait, that's not my outro.
What the f*** I just watch?